Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 27th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Saturday to you. Hopefully it's been a good one. Very vibrant, radiant day for you. As for me, it has been a good day. But we'll start back. We'll rewind the clock back to Friday, where I left off. Pretty much hung out for a little bit. I got to see a friend, and that was a really good time. We got to catch up. Unfortunately, I had like I don't want to say unfortunately, it all worked out in the wash, but I had a set plan, right? That was like in my head. I was like, okay, we're going to get food at this place, and then go from there. Didn't work out that way. Best laid plans, but that's okay. We wound up just, hanging out. And then we got hungry and we're like, well, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? And this leads me to, the issue that we have in a post-COVID world. It really sucks that you don't have like 24-hour eats outside of maybe a Waffle House or an IHOP. And that's really all we got these days, y'all. I feel like there's not at least in my local area, there's not really any kind of burger joints or anything like that open really late or 24 hours. So things are very limited. So we settled on going to BW3s. And I've been to BW3s in about, I feel like, a year or two. And last time, it really didn't leave much to be desired. So I was at least curious to see how I was going to go. And, it was what it was. We'll break it down. I wound up ordering because I didn't want to eat chicken, right? Which is what BW3s is known for, right? But I just didn't want to get it. I eat chicken all the time at home, so it makes me really averse to wanting to eat it when I go out. So I wound up getting what they had as what was it called? It was a cheesesteak, beer cheese cheesesteak. It was all right. It was fine. It hit all the marks for being edible. Not too crazy expensive either, and it came with fries. Then also, we got an order of onion rings for the table. Onion rings were pretty good with some beer cheese, and I also had the zesty sauce. That was pretty good. And then I also got to try some of the honey garlic wings, which were okay. I generally, though, don't like the garlic sauce that they have at B-Dubs. I know it's a big hit for most people, but I'm just generally not a big garlic guy. I've said that before on the pod. And then I hate the aftertaste. It's always never fun for me to have that little tangy twang in your mouth. It's not quite spicy, not quite anything, it's kind of that. So it's garlicky. But yeah, overall though, good time, good vibes. Had a really great night. That segues into today. Woke up at a good time. Actually, did laundry from yesterday, so we were good there. And I kind of loafed around for about an hour or two, which is always nice. I should just get right to it. I always wind up kind of hating myself towards the middle of the day when I have plans and I'm like, I'm tired and I want a nap and I could have just been more efficient and everything would have been even better. But it's good to take time for yourself, right? I don't know. I'm letting myself, have it here. But post hanging out, went to the gym. Gym session was pretty good. I was kind of worried that I was going to flop it because I just didn't make the numbers that I wanted to make in terms of the Smith machine stuff. Didn't hit those 5-6 reps again, But overall, it was a solid session, and that was good. Got our pump on. So yeah, that's been my Friday night. That's been my Saturday morning, afternoon for the most part. So yeah, you're all caught up with my Joneses. Let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. All right. Our first story is coming out of the BBC. Trump orders deployment of troops to Portland and authorizes full force. President Donald Trump has ordered the deployment of U.S. troops to war-ravaged Portland, Oregon, organizing use of full force if needed. Trump said he was directing Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland. He claimed that the move would help protect any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists, adding on Truth Social, "I am authorizing full force if necessary." Saturday's announcement marks the further expansion of deployment of troops in American cities amid a wider crackdown by the Trump administration on illegal immigration. Now, speaking of that, I don't really have any updates out of Memphis. That was like the last big city that he had mentioned that he wanted to target, and he was going to send, troops or some kind of law enforcement to clean up the streets or something like that. Fix crime, insert problem here. Really haven't heard too much out of that area, but I guess this is the new target. This is the new frontier for Trump and the Trump administration. But I want to get to my highlighted portion. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, facility in Portland has been targeted by protesters for several weeks, sometimes leading to violent clashes. On Friday, the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said that demonstrators had repeatedly attacked and laid siege to an ICE processing center in Portland. So I believe that this is now the highlight that the Trump administration is trying to use to say, oh, see, this is why we got to do what we got to do. We got to send troops. And that's such a vague thing. Are we talking National Guard? Are we talking Marines? What troops? So, we'll see how many and what they're going to do if and when they get there, when that comes. But that's some shit that's coming down the pipe on the horizon. So I wanted to start there. We can go ahead and move along, though. We still got some more Trump-related things, or at least Trump administration-related things. Trump-verse, as I like to kind of keep it. Also from the BBC, though. FBI fires agents pictured kneeling at George Floyd protest, U.S. media reports. The FBI has fired groups of agents who were pictured kneeling at a racial justice protest over the death of George Floyd, U.S. media reports, citing unnamed sources familiar with the matter. The agents reportedly took the knee alongside others during a demonstration in Washington, D.C. in 2020. Floyd, a black man, had been killed by a police officer who knelt on his neck in May that year, sparking global outcry. Between 15 to 20 agents are thought to have been sacked on Friday, though the exact number is unclear. The FBI declined to comment when approached by the BBC, but the FBI Agents Association condemned their termination in a statement, saying the agents' rights have been violated. The reported firings come as the Trump administration seeks to purge what it seeks as left-wing and so-called woke policies and officials from every part of the federal government. This has also been something that right-wing commentators like the Laura Loomis of the world have been screaming about, saying these people shouldn't be in charge anymore. Now that Donald Trump is in power, let's get rid of these people. Clearly they're against the agenda, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not surprised to just, see or hear this. Also, I'm not, if I'm being fucking honest, in this specific situation, am I that pressed? Am I that oh my God, no, dude. It's very akin to the Comey thing. You're FBI for one. Two, this was something that is done in quote unquote. I think some might say solidarity, but really it was symbolism. It was just saying, hey, no, we get it. This is bad. And it's cool that you understand that, but it doesn't mean that you're on our side. In fact, you're not on our side. You are law enforcement, right? You're the FBI. And I do think that it's this was just a fucking gesture, which is we don't need gestures. A gesture's not going to, stop another George Floyd situation. Clearly it fucking hasn't. These things still happen. But you just had more of that, not just from FBI. You had fucking Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of politicians, Democrats and whatnot, fucking getting their koofies out and fucking taking the knee they were doing something. They did nothing. And they still continue to do nothing. So, I'm not broken out, and I'm not broken up about these motherfuckers losing their jobs. It's more so, though, just the fact that this administration is keeping up with this, crackdown energy. And I was thinking about this today, as I was running around, doing my stuff. This does line up with the whole idea of even though we haven't gotten to the second year of Trump's administration, we are just doing the head rolling thing at this point. We are looking for people to get rid of, motherfuckers to put on trial, the James Comeys, the Letitia James, Trump is now in that phase of like, I want blood. Let's make some heads roll. Let's show some power in that way now. So I mean, we'll see what comes, I guess, of that, and who else is going to be on the chopping block per se. But yeah, let's move on. Got more stuff. This is less Trump related, but we're still talking about fucking ICE. We've been kind of zigzagging through that. From CNN, ICE arrests superintendent of Iowa's largest school district. The superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, Iowa's largest school district, was detained Friday morning by immigration agents, according to the Department of Homeland Security, which said the educator was in the country illegally and had existing weapons possession charges. Superintendent Ian Roberts, an educator with decades of experience who previously competed as an Olympic athlete for Guyana, was arrested as part of a targeted enforcement operation and fled after U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, officers approached him, according to statements from DHS and the Iowa Department of Public Safety. DHS said he was in possession of a loaded handgun, $3,000 in cash, a fixed blade hunting knife at the time of his arrest. It's a violation of federal law to own a firearm and ammunition if an individual doesn't have legal status in the U.S. CNN is currently working to identify Roberts' attorney. The school district and DHS presented starkly different portraits of Roberts. DHS described him as a criminal alien and suggested he was a public safety threat. But a news conference after his arrest, board president of Des Moines Public Schools, Jackie Norris, said the superintendent was an integral part of our community who has shown up in big ways and small for students and staff, and Roberts disclosed his weapons charge related to a hunting rifle when he was hired, a district spokesperson told CNN. So yeah, I believe he had a hunting rifle charge in 2022, but he explained that to them, and they said, okay, that's fine, and he was able to work as superintendent. And he's been working in this field for a long time, across multiple states. But obviously with this administration, they say, hey, look, by the book, by the number, you're a criminal to us. So we are going to just scoop you up by that means only. And, of course, they come out in the same kind of style, that aggressive style, pop it up on you saying, hey, we're here to, essentially detain you. Roberts made in my opinion, yes, a bad call, but like, that's what you're going to, I get why people are going to make that, that impulse to be like, fight or flight, or, let it happen. Like, no, this is my whole livelihood you're about to try to take from me. I can understand why people have that impulse, is what I'm trying to say. Not to justify it, but I get it, man. Like, well, and yes, like, once again, you're an American. It's crazy that, like, well, you're an American, but not quite. So you can't really have these things. And if you have these things, you're a criminal. But like, if you're the average bear American, you're fine. You're good. You can have your knife, you can have your gun, no big deal. But yeah, I mean, I know that they're going to be getting to the bottom of this. It's going to be discussed and dissected, what weapons charge he had, all of his status and stuff like that. I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the discourse. But it's a shame. I mean, this is a person who is in the school system, who is trying to help, students and staff. And essentially it's like, well, yeah, but in the eyes of this administration, none of that matters. You're just a criminal. You're an illegal immigrant criminal, and we have the means to get rid of you. So that's what they're going to do. It's fucked up. I hate seeing this shit. I hate covering this shit. And it sucks knowing that there's only going to be more stories like this, that, it doesn't matter what career, what line of work you're doing, however fucking noble, however important you are to a community, not just community, family, whatever, it just doesn't matter. That all can be thrown away. You can be put in a fucking, car, put in some fucking detention center, and then disappeared for forever. We're kind of getting a little bit anecdotal. I didn't have this queued up, but in terms of the alligator Alcatraz thing, I believe there's been 1,200 people who have just been disappeared. We don't know where they are in the system, where they've gone. Are they just deported? Where did they get deported to? That's still in limbo. We don't know. So, I mean, that's just one example of this kind of shit that's going on right now. So, It's fucking stressful. It's fucking sad. When you know people like this and you know that their lives is affected, I don't get how you could be convinced that this is the right thing to do. How you could fucking support this shit and just, especially under just the simple guise of like, well, they're criminals, man. Like, they shouldn't be here in the first place. Like, what the fuck are you saying? They're people. Fucking first and foremost, and if you're using that criminal moniker, you're already quote unquote a criminal by this fucking dumb logic. Well, you've already crossed this border that you're not allowed to by the means that was set. And it's like, there's asylum and all this and that and the third. I know you don't really give a shit about that, but once again, you're cutting these legal hairs to justify these atrocities. I don't get how you get to sleep for that. I don't get how you get to feel well and okay and not fucking nauseous about thinking like that, being like that. But I mean, hey, that's you. Your choice, I guess, if that's how you want to be. But yeah, no, I say fuck that shit, boo that shit. But yeah, we're gonna move on though to our last story, and it was a wild summer. Summer is over, right? We are officially done with that, but it looks like it's gonna be an Epstein file fall. So let's just go ahead and take our last break, and we'll get into it. We gotta crack it open. We gotta get back to it. What is this? Epstein forever? Like, we can't get away. I keep wanting to be done with this creep, bro. But I understand, like, the web he wove. Ooh la la. All right. Our last story comes from Axios. Musk, Thiel, and Bannon named in Epstein docs released by Dems. This Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Steve Bannon are all named in copies of Jeffrey Epstein's daily schedules, released Friday by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. The schedules make reference to Musk possibly flying to an island. Ooh, what island? The island, most likely. Some might speculate. Many people are speculating. In 2014, and Thiel and Bannon apparently dining with Epstein as recently as 2017 and 2019. Respectively. It should be clear to every American that Jeffrey Epstein was friends with some of the most powerful and wealthiest men in the world, Oversight Committee Democrat spokesperson Sarah Guerrero said in a statement. Every new document produced provides new information as we work to bring justice for the survivors and victims. Oversight Democrats will not stop until we identify everyone complicit in Epstein's heinous crimes. The documents do not link any of the men to criminal activity or misconduct. And obviously, that's important to state, right? But I do think that this tranche of information that we get, whether it's drip by drip, glop by glop, whatever, is kind of the most we're going to get out of this fucking shit. I mean, sad as it is, I don't think we're ever going to see things, even if it's glaringly apparent that, like, there's no way that these motherfuckers are here doing this and that in the third, and what was happening here wasn't illegal, right? Like, they weren't doing some fucked up shit. It wasn't a part of this whole sex, underage sex trafficking bullshit, right? But at the end of the day, none of it's going to get ran down. Even if there was actually tangible evidence, it probably would wind up not, going to any kind of fucking trial. It would be a fucking miracle if it happened. And that's sad. It shouldn't be the case. Because once again, we see this shit over time, and you didn't really sometimes even need these revelations to come out. The schedules or this and that. There's other things that link these people. There's plenty of fucking things, right? But that being said, these motherfuckers get to walk free, do what they fucking want, and everything is the same for them. Everything is irie. But I do think, at least for the public, it can at least show and paint the picture that this is who these people were, this is who they were colluding with, and maybe it gives you a day opportunity to be like, well, then what were they talking about in these moments? What was going on? And we can maybe get more information there. It is insightful, for sure. But But yeah, I do think that there's this like general consensus online by some that you're gonna get a like, oh, release the file. It's like, okay, and then what do you think is gonna happen? Well, the truth's gonna come out and we're gonna deal with this shit. How do you think do you think we're gonna actually deal with it, like legally? Because I highly doubt that, friend. It would be nice, but yeah, I mean, you've seen our legal system. That's kind of how it goes, like worldwide that way. I don't even think it's just an American issue. I mean, Epstein is bigger than the U.S. Sad to say. But yeah, I mean, I for one am glad to see that these connections are being made. It's worth noting that Republicans are crying that, hey, the Democrats are releasing some of the information early. They're cherry picking, is a quote they like to use, information. And there's actually more people involved. AKA, it's like, yeah, there's Democratic people involved too. It's like, yeah, dude, we know Clinton, yada, by all means. Release the whole thing. You should both be like racing to do this. I don't understand the tactic of Republicans being like, we're kind of slow walking this a little bit. Like, no, you should be as kinetic as the Dems are in this situation to like put these people on blast, right? Like, because this is something that the people want. It would give you, quote unquote, the points you're looking for, right? Which is the only reason these fucking assholes are doing it. Not because they give a fucking shit. Let's be real. But, you know, once again, I do think that at least knowing what these motherfuckers are up to, you know, how they were getting down, it's insightful. It at least lets you know what's up. We'll do a quick rundown, though. Musk, the billionaire owner of Tesla, SpaceX, and X. Too many fucking X's. And he's got too many fucking X's, my bad. An erstwhile ally of President Donald Trump. Also, it's worth mentioning, just for a little bit of the hot gossip, at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, who else was there canoodling with Donald Trump but Elon Musk. He came to shake hands, buddy, you know, try to make right, kiss ass a little bit. But yeah, he was listed in a December 6, 2014 entry reading. Reminder, Elon Musk to Island, December 6th. Is this still happening? A November 27th entry lists 12 o'clock lunch with Peter Thiel. Thiel is a billionaire venture capitalist who has been a major donor to Republicans. He's also a whole ass fucking freak. We've barely mentioned this man, but I mean, we could talk for a long time, and I there's always more for me to learn and know about Peter Thiel. So, but let's continue. An entry on February 16th, 2019, just months before Epstein's death, lists 7 a.m. breakfast with Steve Bannon. Bannon is a close Trump ally who served as a Trump White House senior counselor during the president's first term. We've talked about Bannon a good amount on this podcast. One of the flight manifests from Epstein's aircraft dated May 12, 2000 references Prince Andrew, fucking sweaty ass Andrew, or maybe never sweats Andrew, according to him, as a passenger on a flight from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey to West Palm Beach, Florida, along with Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and several others. Also, too, we've seen pictures with Elon Musk with Ghislaine Maxwell buddying up, doing shit. I don't know if I mentioned it when we were initially talking about, like, some of the birthday book revelations. Not the most recent episode, but, like, one or two back from that. But Elon Musk was also pictured in that situation. Or, no, that wasn't the birthday book stuff. That was the New York Times releasing a bunch of pictures. That shit. He was in that, like, in, like, house pictures and stuff like that. So I mean, there's a bunch of ties with these motherfuckers to Jeffrey. Like, it's not news, and these motherfuckers want to make that shit seem like, you know, no, I barely knew them. They weren't even friends. I didn't even fuck with them like that. No, clearly you were buddy like with that, like that. So I don't know, man. Do I think anything's gonna come from this shit? No, but it's always, I think, worth knowing. Anyway, that's really all I have. If there's any more updates, obviously, from the Epstein and the sorted files, we will be back, of course. But that'll be the episode for today. If you would like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/AZnews. Become a newsie today. Roll call's coming up soon. We're going to have some shout outs. You know, I say your name, plug a project if you like. Let's see. Free ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. All the stars are appreciated on Apple or Spotify, but truly, I just appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate you lurking. I appreciate you letting me hang out in your ear hole, on your stereo, whatever the case may be. Letting me lurk in your life. I like that. It's pretty rad. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.